Go! Probably does. Push!
So, I'm pretty sure this video is going to catch major flack from both the airsoft and the reenacting community. So on one of our unit pages, we got into a little debate. I'm not going to call it an argument because I'm curious to hear from y'all. So I've been an airsofter for more than I've been a reenactor. I've been reenacting for about 12 years now, and I've been airsofting 5 years from that, you know. So I come more from an airsoft background. I've been to a few milsim games, not a whole lot. I do know that blank weapons have been used in airsoft quite a few times. Majority in milsim games. Now, if you don't know what milsim is, I know a lot of the reenacting community might not know. It's military simulation. So most milsim games revolve around modern equipment. It's different scenarios. You might have a Middle Eastern scenario, and you tan team versus green team, and your uniform, your gear is gonna be military spec. Your uniform, your impression will differ from what side you portray. So in this case, it was a World War II Normandy D-Day style game. I actually have the video of a little 3-minute video of the gameplay. If you want to check it out, it was a lot of fun. But where it was kind of recruiting some units to go to this thing. It sparked a little debate. Us reenactors, you know, maybe 1 out of 6 reenactors have an airsoft gun. Most reenactors, you know, sold all their airsoft stuff to get into reenacting. Me, however, I struggled. I want to do both, so I stuck with both. So it started this debate. Basically, some of the reenactors were saying that it's a safety hazard. It's dangerous. You have all these little kids around real guns. And there I do stand for that. You know, blank guns are not toys. They can maim, anywhere from powder burns to slicing up fingers or faces. The brass does sometimes lodge out of the gun and becomes a projectile. That's where I stood. Was they were saying that one of the points were I'm not going to be responsible for blowing a kid's eardrum out, and my point back was, and y'all disagree with me, please, the safety is in the user or the operator of the blank weapon. Am I wrong? I mean, I was raised from an early age when I first started shooting real guns. I don't know, when I was 8 years old. If you're unsafe or you feel unsafe to discharge the weapon, don't. And that applies in reenacting. World War II, Civil War, Rev War. If you don't feel safe, don't discharge the weapon. So again, that goes back. Isn't the safety element in the hands of the blank firing user? So I use this was my first time going into an airsoft event with a blank weapon. Usually I'm running an airsoft gun. Being World War II, it's kind of our niche, so I was like, yeah, sure. And they wanted some for ambience. That's really all blank firing weapons are used for in the airsoft. It's just to make it feel real, or we call it immersion. Makes it feel like you're actually becoming under fire. And now, this was the first year, So you're gonna, if you look up videos from it, it's gonna be a little grungy. Some stuff can be worked out. For example, I know Milsim West. They do a lot of blank firing uses. It's more than just ambience. If you are to be under fire by a blank weapon, you are to react like it. Either go down or kind of struggle for cover, or run for cover. You know, you're being shot at by a bullet. There's a lot of elements in play. Obviously there needs to be safety checks. If that's pulling them, you know, the blank users separately, give them a little safety briefing, what not to do, what to do, professional or not, or do it all as one giant whole. I prefer to do it together, you know, to tell the airsofters that, hey, there's going to be blank firing users out here, you need to kind of be wary. But that's my point. The airsoft players shouldn't have to be aware. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm up for debate here. It should be our responsibility not to shoot at somebody point blank range. It should be our responsibility to watch our muzzle discipline. It should be up to us. It should be our responsibility not to come over someone's shoulder and discharge the weapon, blowing their eardrum out, end quote. So I guess the real question to ask, should blank firing weapons be allowed in the airsoft element? This was a small game. Hopefully it'll get bigger, and I want y'all to look into it. It's not just for locals. Check them out. It's Gunny's Warfare Center. They're in Waxhaw, North Carolina. Excellent field. Excellent field. Hell, if you don't even want to come to the Normandy game next year, please just stop on by and play with them. Great field. Big. Reenactors were allowed to come out to this. Blank firing was heavily permitted per reenactors. So let's say an airsofter out of nowhere wearing his modern kit, because there were modern people running around, comes with his blank firing AR-15. That's not allowed. Not only because it's modern, but because they're not reenactors. Reenactors, that's what we do. We run around in wool clothing in 95-degree weather, shooting blanks at each other. That's what we do. I wouldn't say we're professional, but we're more professional than most. Alright guys, interested to hear what y'all saying?